what do you think with regards to British American Tobacco? And a very interesting point with regards to the margins. We know that British American Tobacco's largest competitors operating in margins of 45% and BAT at 35% margins. But is there really room to grow these margins given the fact that we're just seeing a regulatory squeeze globally?
Yes, I think there is. Look, you don't get much better businesses than those where your customer is actually addicted to your product. And that means you can that's addiction. The key. Get addiction to your product and then you've got a great business. And I think that because of that, they can just keep on increasing prices and still take out costs. They just made another acquisition in Colombia, for instance. So there's definitely still some scope for some cost cutting. So those margins might not quite get to where Philip Morris are, but they'll probably expand still.
What would you say is the big next growth point for the likes of British American Tobacco? Do you think there should be more of a focus in Africa?
I don't know if Africa necessarily is the next growth point. At the moment, it's definitely Asia, where overall, although volumes were down in Asia, they were up. China
of course,
is
Japan
still
didn't do very well either.
Yes, because of the issues in Japan, not that great, but that will pick up now again from a lower base. And China is still off limits, still closed because of the tobacco companies there being owned by the state. So who knows, maybe at some point China can open up. That could be a growth area. And maybe 10 years from now, Africa could be, but you still need probably a greater consumer market to develop first in Africa.
Okay. Let's touch on the overall market performance today. Down almost 1%, shedding around 300 points in today's session. Better volumes than yesterday because we've seen around 10 billion rand passing through the market also. And yesterday we were sitting at around 8 billion rand. Again, it's this US debt overhang. When are we going to be doing away with it?
Well, I think we have
2nd of August,
5 days. Yes, 5 days to go, 5 trading days to go. So the clock is ticking, and our market, the sell-off accelerated nearer to the close. So it seems like a lot of US investors probably got up and were quite pessimistic. You saw the rand also blow out a little bit in the last 15 minutes of trade. So not that great a picture at the moment.
Would you be buying, sitting on the sidelines, or what would your next move be?
I would wait at the moment, both from an investment perspective and a trading perspective. I think this debt ceiling is too big a risk to now already be in the market from a trader's perspective, to rather wait. If you get a plunge in the market, that could be a buying opportunity. And also from an investment perspective, I think I don't see a lot of value at the moment in the market. So I would rather wait till prices come down to close to reflect intrinsic values.
Let's go through the top 40. ArcelorMittal at the bottom of the top 40, down 6%. Trading at 69 Rand 75 cents. The company posting a 63% drop in first half profits. Higher input costs, stronger rand, all cited as very big issues. I was speaking to Ian Cruikshanks from Nedbank Capital a bit earlier, and he was saying that it's the aggressive pricing policies of ArcelorMittal that's resulted in a drop in profits. So which would you say is affecting it more?
Well, once again, they are a dominant play in the steel market, so I don't think it's necessarily their pricing policy, because there aren't many other alternatives for their consumers to buy steel from someone else. So
unless you import steel, of course.
Yes, but there are logistic issues in that. So for me, the key issue is that we've seen that the previous cost plus 3% agreement with Kumba really was the base on which they built their profitability. And at the moment, they have an interim agreement about double the cost of the cost plus 3 agreement, but still lower than the spot price of iron ore. And what it means is their profitability has been materially affected by the increased cost in iron ore.
Would you be buying ArcelorMittal?
Well, gentlemen don't trade and talk, or trade and tell. So.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that one.
Yes.
I've been in the industry for quite some time. Okay, I see.
So I can't tell you at the moment what we're doing with Arcelor, unfortunately.
Okay, so you're still digesting some of the numbers. But would you say that the overall prospects are positive? Would you say they're negative? I mean, we've also got the Kumba Iron Ore Session cost plus 3 contract, which is still under dispute.
I think overall it's definitely negative from Arcelor's perspective, and that's probably why the share price has come down today. Whether it's positive for Kumba is still an unknown. We still need to wait and see the court case and what will happen with that Sishen iron ore mining right. So it's a bit up in the air at the moment, but the probability probably is more to the downside for Arcelor.
Well, when you see a company down 6%, does that signal buy? Or does it signal, I'm trying to get you to answer me, of course, or does it signal just completely stay away from this?
Well, let's put it that way. The company is trading close to its tangible book value. Yeah. It's trading below its replacement cost. But if you can't make profits from here on out because of some agreement that might lapse or might be different in future, then you can't pay more than the book value. So I don't see value even at current values in Arcelor. They still have a lot of challenges they need to deal with.
Okay, so we also had some news out from Nedbank, or from Old Mutual, on behalf of Nedbank, saying that headline earnings per share are likely to increase by around 28% and not 20% previously advised. Your view on Nedbank, because it's coming under pressure over the past few days, but we have seen it rallying quite significantly over the past month or so. So a bit of heat taken out of the market, but overall, good numbers. It's double-digit growth, and it's not just double digits in the teens, it's closer to 30%.
Yes, and none of the other banks are showing that type of growth rates at the moment. So I think Nedbank will come out with better results right now, but I see it more as a catch-up to the other banks where they needed to get their balance of net interest income and non-interest revenue more aligned to the other banks. And once they have caught up, then probably the growth rates will be similar for the 4 big banks. So in the short term, a good result now, yes, but maybe into next year, more mediocre growth coming from all of the big 4 banks.
A lot of strikes on the go. Very difficult to keep track of all of them, but we know coal and fuel, 2 very important strikes that are currently occurring, and really got to do with interruptions and the possibility of interruptions. What do you make of the strike right now, and what kind of impact is it going to have on the miners and, of course, Sasol?
Well, it's once again a negative impact for everyone. We already have very high wage inflation. With these strikes and the type of settlements we're seeing coming through, it's still increasing above inflation. The expectations are still quite a bit higher. So all of this is putting a lot of pressure on the costs of the companies. And with the strong rand, it means that on the selling side, especially for someone like Sasol, you don't get the benefit of pricing on your sales line. So you're getting squeezed between your cost and your selling prices, and it's not a pretty picture.
And of course, Sasol down almost 2%. Lonmin at the top of the top 40. Not many gainers today, but Lonmin up 1%. We're seeing platinum prices starting to look slightly better and above $1,800 an ounce. And I know that Neville Nicolau, the CEO of Amplats, in fact, prefers a platinum price of above $1,800 an ounce.
I'm sure you would.
Can it remain so, would you say? It's got to do with the cost element.
Well, yes, people are saying the cost curve is moving up because of the costs and the amount of platinum coming from such concentrated players that means the selling prices must go up. But at some point also, even though you have the dollar price of platinum going up, the rand strength is a very fierce headwind for these companies. Your costs are in rand, your selling prices are in dollars, and you will get squeezed as the rand heads to R6.60, as we've seen in the last few weeks.
A dire performance coming through for the likes of ArcelorMittal in today's session on the equity front, with Kumba is up 0.8%. We did see an initial sell-off when Kumba came out with their results, which most people thought they were quite positive, but they worried about the dividend. We also know that earnings coming through from coal miners doing quite well, and of course coal and iron ore required for steel. Why do you think that there is such a big disconnect coming through with these companies?
Well, the disconnect between Kumba and Arcelor is because of this cost plus 3 agreement and what will happen with Sishen iron ore. And the disconnect between Kumba and some other coal or iron ore players is because Sishen is such a low-cost mine that, I mean, you have margins above 50% in the case of Kumba. It's just such a great position to be in that they can capture a lot more of the high prices than any other miner.